Today is the day that we are all excited for as fitters. It is the completion of the Fujikura Ventus Plus series with the addition of the red and the black. So if you guys aren't new to the channel, you may remember a few months ago we had Spencer from Fujikura on here to do a deep dive into Fujikura golf shafts in general, but also it was the introduction of VeloCore Plus with their VeloCore Plus Blue. We did a in-depth dive into the technology that they have put into these and what differs them from the TR family and then the OG Ventus. Well, now, today is the official launch of the Ventus Red, VeloCore Plus, and Ventus Black to complete the family. So as a reminder about the technology and what makes VeloCore Plus different than the original Ventus is they've added a new material in that tip. So you've got that 70-ton pitch material. So essentially it's how much carbon they can actually weave together in a tighter pattern. So they've been able to add some stability with making the overall shaft a smoother feel. So the TR family is still going to be moving forward, and the OG will kind of move into what they call their legacy shafts. So they're not going to be as advertised, being that the new technology, completely new material. They're going to continue to move forward with these. So just like the original family and the TR, you've got VeloCore Plus Blue, Red, and Black. The colors actually will distinguish the launch angles in these. So the black is the low launch, ultra stiff tip. Blue is the mid launch, stiff tip. Red is the high launch, stiff tip. So what's really cool about this series is they've expanded their offerings in the weight category as well. The red is now available in an R2 as lightweight as 50 grams. And then for our faster swing speed players, as the drivers change and you hear the word 10K or high MOI, torque rates are needing to change to kind of keep up with how the shaft deflects as stable as those faces are. So the Ventus Black VeloCore Plus is coming in at a 5X this year. So we've got 5X all the way up to 8X and different series there. Really excited about this because they've moved forward with that phantom finish. So these shafts look awesome. They're not super shiny. They do not glare in the sun. So you can see it's a pretty sleek. The Ventus Black just looks awesome. Reminds me of Batman.
I'm Batman.
Just a good looking product. They've kind of changed the font on the shaft too. So again, just kind of trying to distinguish the difference that, hey, this is new. It's the same heritage as the original Ventus, but with that new technology in the tip section. The reason this is such a big deal is this season already on the PGA Tour, Ventus is responsible for 50% of all the wins on the PGA Tour. They're actually the first shaft company to kind of hold that accolade this early in the season as well. So it just goes to show you that these tour guys are trusting this product in their woods packages. And you even see some axioms on the LPGA Tour if you watched this past weekend. So even in the iron shafts, that VeloCore technology is starting to trickle down into. So what's going to be fun with this is we're going to hop in the booth with Caleb and do a comparison with all three profiles and kind of see how they differ from each other. And also, too, maybe what feels, since Caleb is someone who's played a Ventus shaft in the past, what he feels that is different between these three shafts compared to the original or even to the TR.
All right, thanks, Kyle, for the technical rundown of the Ventus series of shafts. What we're going to try to accomplish in here is we're going to swing each of the shafts, so the Ventus Red, Black, and Blue, compare their differences in feels to one another, and see how the performance shakes out with each of them. What we're wanting to hope to accomplish is to help give you an idea of what would be the best Ventus VeloCore Plus shaft for your swing. In order to compare these, we're going to try to get 5 good swings with each shaft and see how the numbers break down between each of them. All right, so for all 3 shafts, I'm going to use my old trusty Titleist TSR2. And we're going to start out, well, in golf ball, I'm going to use my Titleist Pro V1X left dash for the comparison. I'm going to start out with the Ventus VeloCore Plus Red in a 6X. So let's see how this shaft feels. Felt good. It's all in theory, right? It's kind of just like what we talked about with the Shoguns. Yeah, just because the shaft says it's high launch doesn't mean it's going to launch high. Oh, a little low heel. Stayed straight though. All right, so I just got done swinging the Ventus Red with VeloCore Plus. Initial thoughts are this is a very smooth shaft. Definitely a little softer in the handle section. While I was swinging it, I could feel it loading and flexing here underneath my hands in the handle section, but still feels pretty stable in the bottom half of the shaft. So ball flight wise, we'll see when we hit the other two shafts how it shakes out with that. For me right now, my initial thought is because of a little softer handle section, a little more aggressive tempo, I'm seeing a little bit of my misses moving to the left. So definitely easy to get this shaft moving left a little bit there. All right, let's see how that Ventus Blue is now. All right, so we're switched over to the Ventus Blue in the 6X. This is a shaft we previously tested, so we kind of already know what to expect out of this one, but we want to get the numbers in here to compare the other two shafts with it. Yeah. For me, I think the red's a little too soft in the hands. Like if I wanted to go with that little softer shaft, I probably need the TR red for a little bit more stability under the hands. But let's just check, make sure that's 5 shots. All right, so initial thoughts on the blue. As I said before, we've tested this shaft already, so no surprises here. It's a very smooth shaft. Comparing it to the red right away, I already feel a lot more stability in the handle here. So the handle feels a bit firmer in the blue compared to the red. And so for me, that felt like I was able to time and square this shaft a little bit easier than the red. So just basically the stiffer handle section in the blue as compared to the red felt more easy to time. That's the biggest difference. Let's try out the Ventus Black now. All right, so now we got the Ventus VeloCore Plus Black still in the 6X. So let's see how this new profile in the Ventus VeloCore Plus series feels. Right away initially, just picking it up compared to the other two, this feels much more stout. Different feel for sure. Felt good. Whew. All right, so just got done swinging the Ventus VeloCore Plus Black into 6X. Initial impressions, this is a definite much more aggressive shaft as compared to the other two, the red or the blue. You can definitely tell this is a shaft that's more boardy in feel, and it feels like it stays with you for longer. For today in my swing, this felt like the most comfortable one to swing. We'll see what the data says as far as the numbers, but it just felt like the shaft stayed with my more aggressive tempo today, a little bit better than the other two. So kind of initial thoughts, I would say if you're a more smooth swing golfer, looking for something that's a little softer, a little easier to swing and get around a golf swing, red's your shaft you look for. If you're a little bit more moderate in your tempo, blue. If you're more aggressive in your tempo, definitely want to look toward that black. It's a very stout shaft. You can feel it right away when you pick it up compared to the other two. This shaft feels heavier even in the hand without swinging compared to the other two. So interesting to see the differences in the feel between each of the shafts. All right, so let's take a look at the data now. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the comparison in the performance between the three shafts. Taking a look at our chart here, we see that as far as the down range where the golf ball ended up, the blue and the red ended up basically in the exact same spot. They got there a little bit differently. We'll talk about that in a second. But the black we see went about 8 yards further. And I'm going to explain here in just a second why that I think is. But comparing all three of the shafts, we would expect, traditionally we call the red the high launch shaft, the blue the mid launch shaft, and then the black the low launch shaft. And what we see there, looking at our launch angle, 11.3 in the black, 10.9 in the blue, and 11.8 in the red, is that virtually all three of these shafts are going to launch relatively in the same window. There'll be a little bit of variances. Obviously, we can see like the blue launched the lowest of these three shafts. And what that is, what we have to think about with that is the kick point of the shaft. The red was the softest in the handle, so it loaded a little bit more. I launched that one a little bit higher. The blue was more stable in the handle, but kicked a bit more. I actually launched it lower, and that's mainly because it made my strike location drop really low in the club face. It was kind of kicking up a bit more for me. And then the Ventus Black actually launched at 11.3, kind of right in between those other two shafts. And the main reason there is because of that shaft being more stable in the tip section. It wasn't kicking up as much through impact and moved that ball, that strike location just a little bit higher in the face. So I got a little better launch out of it. That's also why it spun a little bit less than the other two shafts at 25.99 versus the 27.70 and 27.17 of the blue and the red respectively. So all three shafts, I would say, performed really well. We looked, the ball speed's good. It's pretty consistent across all three shafts. I mean, we got a 2.5 mile-an-hour variance from the red to the black in ball speed. So they're all three fast shafts. It's really about finding the profile. Again, we kind of said it with our Shogun comparison, finding a profile and how that shaft flexes and loads to suit your swing tempo. That's really what it comes down to in shaft fitting. We'll take a look at the club data here right quick and show you the difference in strike location. And we can kind of see that the blue and the red were just a little bit more low and to the toe compared to the black. And that's why I got just a little bit better ball speed with the black, a little bit better launch window and spin window, and the ball carried a little bit further. So for me today, I'd have to pick that black as a shaft I would fit into, mainly because that tip section being a little stiffer felt a little bit more comfortable to keep that head a little bit more stable through impact and help me get a little bit better strike location throughout the shot. Again, all three shafts are really good comparisons, or really good performing shaft. They're different and unique from each other, but this is a pretty comprehensive family of premium high-performance golf shafts. So no matter what swing speed and tempo you have, you'll be able to find a profile that can help you find more center strikes. All right, so that brings our Ventus shaft comparison video to a close. If you enjoyed our content, please like, subscribe, and we'll look forward to the next video.